Good afternoon. Happy 2023. Welcome back to the Israel Brief, brought to you as always by Lay of the Land, hosted by me, Rolene Marks. And hey, it's been a while. We know you love to come here and get your headlines, and we've taken a well-deserved break for the last 2 weeks. And what could possibly happen in 2 weeks, I hear you asking? Well, it turns out quite a lot. As many of you know, Israel has seen a change in government. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been sworn in. We're already off to a whole lot of controversies that we're going to be discussing in a few moments. But the year is only 9 days old and already we are off to a hectic start. So fasten your seatbelts, everybody. It's going to be a busy year. And as always, you will get your top stories right here with me every Monday to Thursday on the Israel Brief. So let's take a look at our first story. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is scheduled to visit Israel by the end of January. Now, this comes amidst a crisis last week when National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir ascended the Temple Mount. Now, I just want to be clear. Jews are not forbidden from ascending the Temple Mount. Jews and Christians do this, but it is understood that ministers respecting the sensitivities of the site, because what happens at the Temple Mount doesn't just affect many Jews, it also affects over 1 billion Muslims around the world. So it is a flashpoint in the region, but against maybe better judgment or to make a point, Ben-Gvir ascended the Temple Mount. This resulted in widespread condemnations coming not just from our Abrahamic brothers, from the Muslim world, but from European and America as well. So the Secretary of State is coming here to talk about that and to talk about what could be a real issue brewing between the two countries. He is also expected to address Israel's sanctioning of the Palestinian Authority. This follows a vote at the United Nations General Assembly put forward by the PA that will now see Israel taken to the International Criminal Court of Justice, or rather the International Court of Justice be allowed to weigh in on issues what they call annexation, settlements and occupation. The Secretary of State is also expected to discuss the ever-encroaching Iranian threat. Now, Israel has imposed several sanctions on the Palestinian Authority, including withholding payments of taxes. This follows yet again lawfare by the Palestinian Authority using apparatus like the United Nations General Assembly to push forward with their agenda of using law to delegitimize the state of Israel. Also, while we're talking about the UN, a session of the United Nations Security Council was called last Friday in response to Itamar Ben-Gvir ascending the Temple Mount. And on a very, very rare occurrence, we had the US Biden administration criticizing Israel for his ascending the Temple Mount, saying that it is an imperative that the status quo be maintained. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Netanyahu has reiterated that the status quo on the Temple Mount will be respected and maintained. In other news, another very controversial topic, and that is of the overhaul of the High Court or Supreme Court. Israel's new Justice Minister, Yariv Levin, has announced that it is his ministry's intention to introduce overhauls by the end of March. Now, last week, Benny Gantz, who is now a member of the opposition, appealed to Levin, saying, if you're going to make these decisions, why not have all parties present in discussion so that a variety of opinions can be heard. It is expected that the most pressing reform will be the introduction of the override clause, which will see a majority of 61 members of Knesset be able to overturn a ruling of the Supreme Court. Now, it is imperative that the Supreme Court remain independent of the Knesset, because Israel does not have a constitution. We are not like South Africa, that has a very, very progressive constitution. We are not like the United Kingdom, that has a monarch who is the living embodiment of their constitution. Israel has a declaration of independence, and that must be respected. Meanwhile, over the weekend, tens of thousands rallied in Tel Aviv in protest of any overhauling of the Supreme Court. As we speak, a meeting of the Negev Summit is taking place in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates. This includes Egypt, Bahrain, the UAE, Morocco, Israel, the United States, but no Jordan. Now, the US have expressed concern that Jordan is not present. Jordan has been invited and included in the past, but up for discussion are important issues like trade, tourism, water and food security, energy, and very, very importantly, education and tolerance. And speaking of tolerance, we now go to our last story, and our dear friend Ken Roth, the former director of Human Rights Watch, has been informed that he will not be able to embark on a fellowship with Harvard University. This is largely due to his anti-Israel bias. Now, it's very interesting because Harvard, which is one of the United States' leading Ivy League universities, has brooked a lot of criticism over recent months for their anti-Israel stance. Now, Human Rights Watch's former director, Ken Roth, has been notorious for his reports accusing Israel of apartheid and for his obsession against the Jewish state on social media platforms like Twitter. Naturally, he took to Twitter to bemoan this fact and say that it was those Jewish lobbyists preventing him from embarking on his fellowship. Of course you did, Kenny. Hey? Maybe that clucking you hear are the chickens coming home to roost. And those are our top stories making headlines today. But don't forget to check out our website. We have new content. It is all up there at www.layoftheland.online. If you haven't already joined our Facebook community, please do so. We are at Lotl, L-O-T-L, site, S-I-T-E, at Lotl site. Like us, follow us, and please share our content. We are on YouTube. Our channel is at the Israel Brief. You guys know what to do. Hit that red subscribe button, like, share, invite your friends, and hey, pop us a comment if you feel good to do so. And we're on Twitter at layoftheland5. I'm Rolene Marks. It's great to see you guys again. Don't forget to join me tomorrow for your top stories right here on the Israel Brief.